The fifth stop of the Superboat International Tour brings us to New York, New York, home of the famous Twin Towers and the world's most famous lady. And today, the world's fastest offshore powerboats.
Start spreading the news. We're racing today. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hendrick, along with Stan Lane, outside our mobile studios. The Big Apple, New York, New York. And the Hudson River will provide a very competitive course for the Fountain New York Superboat Grand Prix. You ready, Stan?
Brother, I stay ready. And I tell you what, when you talk about SBI, everybody's ready. Because, see, we have no limitations on horsepower, unlike those other guys. You can bring as many engines as you want. You can build as much horsepower into your engines as you want. That's why we have the top speed. That's why we are the biggest and fastest race boats in the world. And I can't wait. It's going to be very, very exciting today. Now, don't let the term river fool you, Hudson River, because this is not smooth at all. The water bounces off the left side and the right side from New Jersey to New York, and there are some big holes out there. The drivers will have to be very, very aware of that. So if you're ready to go racing SBI style, horsepower style, get ready, because it's going to be fast.
Several classes will race on the river here at the same time. The Superboats, of course, being the biggest, and then the Super Vs. And Stan, they'll be first or second in class and first or second overall with all the boats at the same time on the river.
Well, we have so many race teams here in New York. We're going to actually have 3 different starts. Now, the first start will be the big boys, the big kahunas, the Mac Daddies, the Big Apple, if you will, of offshore. Here's what you're going to be seeing through the cockpit. Dominic Visconti Jr., of course, and John Thompson on board V1 Popeye. Now we're seeing what Robert Mueller will see. He's on in a seaboat, Interome. So a little bit foggy now, Jim. I hope this burns off, because this could be dangerous as the race progresses.
Yes, we'll have views from, of course, our shoreline cameras up above in our helicopters and right in the cockpit. And here they come for the first start.
Well, they're starting to scream already. They're starting from the south end of the course. We'll talk more about that later. That's the very dangerous part of this course, where the East River meets the Hudson River. But they're headed north right now. They're picking up speed, and these boats, Jim, will be going upwards of 160 miles an hour today.
Yes, they will, Stan. The biggest, fastest boats roaring down the Hudson River. The Hydrogen Media Fountain pulling out in front ahead of the fleet.
Jerry Gilbreth and Hugh Fuller have laid down the gauntlet. They told me off camera that they are tired of everybody talking about Planet Man and what he's done. He set a new world speed record. These guys today, Jim, are going to be screaming all day long. They're not going to hold anything back right from the start.
Look at our camera shots. Look at the city of New York, the Big Apple. And the excitement continues as we look at the Popeye Fountain. But look at what's ahead.
Well, taking the lead right now are 2 guys that hail from this great city. Of course, the Fountain Altronics boat. They are leading in Super V, but V1, that V1 stands for National Champion. Popeye is right on his transom. This is going to be a very, very interesting and very exciting race all day long here.
We're aboard with Dom and John aboard the Popeye Fountain. Look at the water they're getting on the windshield.
Speaking of his windshield, that looked a little dirty over there on the right, because you catch Windex and clean that off a little bit. Ooh, this boat is aired out. Just talk about it. These guys are going to be going fast as they can. That boat is very, very loose already, even on the first lap. Most of these teams kind of hold back on the first lap, see what the other guys are going to do, but these guys are letting it all hang out SBI style.
And look at how he turns that boat, now heads down toward the Statue of Liberty. And now our rear view shot, and look at that rooster tail rising, and look at the fleet in back of him. He's got a pretty good lead.
Oh, a very impressive lead indeed. And speaking of impressive, Tim Chasuli, Russ Houston on the Planet Man, the boat you see right now on your screen. They've been more than impressive all year long. Today, they are going for their 4th victory in a row.
Here is the V76 Fountain Altronics, 3rd place, first in class. Peter Meyer, Joe Stroh. Getting a good ride now in the Rio Rosa Cigarette.
This boat is a beautiful boat, almost brand new. And you see, they are getting a good ride, Jim, but we talked about it earlier in the opening. This water will get worse and worse and rougher as the day progresses.
We're now down the New Jersey side of this course. Boats are heading north. This is the C class.
3 boats in C now, battling in and out. This boat is the longest boat in the C fleet, 36 feet in length, the catamaran, of course. Interome trying to build up some time now.
Looks like they're going along this river pretty good, Stan. They lead in high points. And in fact, as we're in the cockpit with them, they enjoy racing on this river.
This is one of my favorite races because it is so close to where I live. And New York's just a fun spot every time you come out here and race. The Hudson River's always gives you a little bit of mixed up water. And there'll be a lot of boats in the class, so I'm excited to have a lot of competition this weekend.
So many race teams, Jim, from this New York area. It's just a great venue. Of course, the guys from Florida and the West Coast are here as well to try to take away what the New York boys want to do, but right now, taking away all the way is Jerry Gilbreth and Hugh Fuller, and the Hydrogen Media Fountain lead the way. We'll be right back with more SBI action here on Speed Vision.
To the Fountain New York Superboat Grand Prix is brought to you by Fountain Powerboat, because there is a difference. By Seminole Indian Casino, catch the excitement. And by Entertainment Coaches of America, the preferred coach of the stars. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hendrick, along with Stan Lane, back here in the Big Apple. Look at Radio City. There is a landmark for you.
The city's so nice, they had to name it twice, Jim. Let's jump on board now. Bermuda, Barracuda, getting ready for a second start. This will be the stock, the modified, the production A, offshore B, and Pro 1 in this start.
We'll listen to some of the conversation going between throttle man and driver as we have them wired.
Yeah, we're on board right now, A11 extinguisher. These guys are standing up in the cockpit of V-bottom boat. You see the throttle man working those throttles. We have a green flag, and this race is official for the second start here in SBI action on Speed Vision.
Look at them come off that Statue of Liberty in the background, inside the cockpit with Chris Marshall on board the Barracuda.
What they're doing right now, they're trying to dice and find clear water. They do not want turbulated, white, foamy water. They want the clear, good water to get the maximum push off those props.
Can I go to the left?
Listen, dude, should I go left? They're talking there all the time. That's part of racing. How sweet it is. Bodyguard, first and second place there of this next start. And inside on the red boat, closest to your screen, and now moving out in front, is the modified 55. How sweet it is.
Another New York-based team. This boat has set speed records in years gone by. It's a great hull. An old war horse. This boat can still scream with the best of them, upwards of 135 miles per hour.
We're on board now, the A11 extinguisher. They're fourth in class.
Good job, Dave. Doing a good job.
Yeah, man, go.
Go. All right, calm down. It's only the first lap.
It's only the first lap. You just feel the adrenaline rushing as these guys are just screaming across the water. This track constantly changing. Every wave is different. Every hole is different. It's not like a race course. And here we have our third start, Jim. Manufacturers boats, and leading the way already is the Mikasuki Indian Gaming Boat, Factory 2.
Now, you notice there's no canopy. Two guys, throttleman and driver, out in the open, feeling the wind against their face. And this is the third start, as you said, Stan, and a very exciting class.
Yeah, most of these boats do not have the safety F-16 cockpit. Whoa, get a little chine walk action there. These boats already getting loose. They know that to get the top speed, you have to air these boats out, get them just up on the transom on these deep V's there, but it makes them a little squirrely and a little dangerous.
The action you see, C7 R&R Racing, 6th place, C25 Extractor, 7th, C1 Interome, 8th place.
Interome with a wide sweep on that turn. Now, this boat is not taking these turns wide at all. I've never seen Jerry Gilbreth and Hugh Fuller turn the way they're turning this big 46-foot cat today. They mean business.
Yes, they do, and they got their RPMs up by going wide, and it's tough to turn a boat that size in a tight arc.
Well, you know, deep V boats, Jim, as they turn, they lean over in the turn like a motorcycle does.
A sleek racing craft, the Hydrogen Media Fountain boat. Aboard that boat now, and let's go to Stan.
The Hydrogen Media Fountain, guys, it's a very, very tight race in super boat. But the Planet Man boat, Jerry, just set a new high bar. That boat is going over 169 miles an hour now.
Isn't that great? I mean, I think that's really good for Tim and his crew, and I guess we'll just have to raise the bar again, Stan.
And you can certainly do that, I'm sure, because you've done it before. Hugh, New York City, have you ever raced here before?
No, we haven't. It's a great venue. I mean, this race is something else. You're having this backdrop. You can't ask for anything nicer. The water seems really nice. It should be a real good race today.
And they're having a pretty good race, having it all their own way in first place, getting a pretty good ride on the Hudson River here in the Big Apple in New York City. Tim Chisuli, number 8, Planet Man. He's also set a speed record, right, Stan?
Earlier this week, yeah, he certainly did. He ran 169.33 miles per hour in the kilo, and that is just unbelievable for these big boats.
Joe Stroh with the V76 Fountain Electronics with Peter Meyer on the throttle. Ooh, they're getting a pretty good ride, and they're moving.
We talked earlier about how when these deep V's make a turn, they lean over the way a motorcycle does. When a catamaran makes a turn, it turns the way a car does. If you turn left, the car will actually lean out to the right a little bit. That's the difference in these boats.
Through the windshield on the left, New York City. On the right is New Jersey as they head down toward the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, that's the south end of the course, and that water becomes very discombobulated, especially as the race wears on. We'll have to keep our eye on that part of the course. Of course, the north end can be tricky, too. This whole course is very, very tricky. You see now, Jim, we talked about it earlier, the water is starting to pick up and get rougher because the waves are bouncing off both sides of the New York and New Jersey side.
Watch the wheel of Real Roses. Raul Bosell, he's the driver on the right side.
The boat has to be trimmed down for these turns because these boats are aired out. And as you turn, you got to scrub off the speed, of course, pull back on the throttles. And, oh, my goodness, oh! They did say you spun out, Jim. These step-bottom boats, we talked about it in the past. They get very, very loose. Let's go back and watch this in slow motion again. We talked about how they need to trim the boat down to pull the hull down into the water. This boat obviously was too loose. They had too much speed going in, and the boat spun out and darn near barrel rolled, but it didn't, thank goodness.
And that's the coordination between the throttle man and the driver in those turns. That's why they talk to each other. Here's another bad move. And I don't mean that literally. This is, of course, the name of the boat.
Yeah, good-looking little boat here. 38, I shouldn't say little, it's 38 feet in length. This boat right here is 41 feet in length. This is a big, heavy boat, well over 12,000 pounds for the firewater boat. This boat can go through any kind of water any day of the week.
A nice deep V, long haul. Ellis Island, where they brought the immigrants, where they landed in the early 1900s, another landmark. We'll be back in just a moment.
Feat that's never been accomplished in offshore racing history. 6 V-Bottom World Championships in one season. And as you've seen, Team Fountain is even more dominating this year. Fountain's World Championship racing technology is incorporated into every sport boat we build. At Fountain Powerboats, when we race, you win.
Back here in the Hudson River, we thank the Liberty State Park people for allowing us to invade their recreational area, usually set for young and old, but today there's a big superboat race. Earlier, Stan Lane was aboard the F-213 Renegade.
On board F-213 Team Renegade, we are headed out onto the Hudson River. Going to give you a quick overview of just how beautiful this New York course is. Hitting about 60+ miles an hour now. Woo! This boat can really fly. What you have to be so aware of here on this New York Hudson River race are the ferry boat wakes. They can put up about a 3-foot to 4-foot wake. Of course, this is where it all started for so many immigrants when they came to the United States. The Statue of Liberty, one of the symbols of greatness, this great country of ours. Truly a remarkable venue for SBI.
Stan Lane getting a big kick prior to race time, and now here's that same boat in action.
Yeah, they're having a little bit of a problem too, Jim. As you can see, they've lost their rear motor hatch. It's blown off, all the pounding this boat takes. Now, the upside of that is they're getting cooler air to those engines. The downside is it reduces the aerodynamic efficiency, and the air gets trapped in that hole there, and it slows the boat down.
And, of course, another downside is that hatch is somewhere floating out. Hope nobody hits it, hurts their props. Cancun Cantina. The F2-8, fourth in class.
Making a turn now on the south side. You can see the water is growing as we speak. It's getting big down there.
F207 Bang Cafe Wild Chow, third in class. Ividal Marcus Savataro.
You know, these Factory 2 boats have the exact same drive systems, the same horsepower. What it boils down to is throttle man, and of course, hull design plays a big part as well.
Hull design plays a big part, and also local knowledge. We know the waters here in New York really well, being that we're local. We know the tides, how everything's running, and usually where the big holes are.
Well, I can tell you this, you have to be a certified psychic to know where the holes are going to be on this course, because they can pop up any place, anytime, anywhere.
As we look at the Miccosukee Indian Gaming second in class, water sports is like that. The track constantly changes. Car racing, they set a groove. It never changes. Here, a roller, a hole, a wave. They have to read that course all the time, every single lap.
And that's what makes SBI so exciting. Speaking of exciting, this team is extremely exciting. It's the Fountain team, the Bart's Unlimited team from my home state of North Carolina. These guys are seeded this year, and this is one fast boat.
Hydrogen Media Fountain. Look at them go. The current leader still right out in front and showing them the short way around the course.
negotiating that south end turn now. You see the Twin Towers in the background, all those buildings, and you see the water, how white it's getting. We're actually getting white caps out here now as these waves continue to bounce off both sides of the Hudson River.
Of course, lap after lap, they churn it up, and they, of course, create a tougher course for themselves every time around. They have to be alert.
And you have to wonder, too, Jim, is Hydrogen Media pushing their equipment too hard, trying to stay ahead of this man, Tim Chasuli and Planet Man?
And, of course, on the throttles is Russ Houston. They're looking for their 4th consecutive victory in Superboat International schedule so far. They're coming down now the New Jersey side of this Hudson River course.
Jumping down into the production A group. I don't know why they call this production, Jim, because this boat is nothing like a production boat. This boat is a state-of-the-art race boat. Don't kid yourself. Enclosed canopy, onboard oxygen, and really a state-of-the-art drive system back there that actually can raise that stern drive up and down on a jack plate. Tremendous little boat.
Not only a tremendous little boat there, the boat to beat, the first in class. We're on board the A11 Extinguisher. They're second in class, trying to catch the Extreme Stainless Marine.
Driver and throttle man withstanding the tremendous impact on their knees as they are standing there. They're really locked in there. Those are nice, tight bolsters that keep them fairly tight. But I swear, should the boat barrel roll, these guys will be thrown out, or should it nose in, they'll have to duck down beneath that canopy to save their heads.
These boats roll, they want out. They do not want to stick with the boat. That's an awful heavy hat to wear. A88 Fury, third in class, enclosed cockpit. There you see the difference. Last boat open out. Here they are enclosed.
Rio Rosa's now negotiating the turn. You bet they won't be negotiating quite as tight as they did a little while ago when they spun out, though.
They are 31st overall, 5th in class right now because of that spin out, but doing very well. They've recovered. They're competitive. They're still in this race.
Raul Boycel, of course, Indy kart driver, great driver. And speaking of great action, we'll be right back to a lot more SBI style.
Attention, Americans without prescription drug coverage. Don't wait to find out if Medicare will ever cover all your prescriptions, or if your employer will ever offer you coverage. Get the People's Prescription Plan today. Members have already saved over $180 million on prescription drugs, eyewear, hearing aids, and more at over 50,000 locations nationwide. Your household is covered for just $7.95 a month with no limits on use, so the savings can really add up. And as a special offer...
Welcome back to New York. The V76 Fountain Electronics is third. They're third in National High Points, two behind two that are tied. V1 Popeye and V21 Firewater. They're tied for first. This boat is only 56 points behind.
I think the points chase is going to come down to the last race for sure for everybody. I think whoever wins the last in the Bahamas is going to get it. We have to do good here in Manhattan, our hometown anyway, so if we do good in the next two races, we got a shot to win.
Well, definitely, Stan. They're only 56 points behind the two that are tied for first. They do have a shot.
And as we know, anything can happen in SBI action at any place, any time on the course. Attrition claims 40% of all these race boats, and that's just truly amazing.
We are aboard Dominic Visconti Jr.'s V1 Popeye Fountain with John Tomlinson at the throttle. They've made the turn in the north, heading down toward the Statue of Liberty right now.
And now they will trim those drives up. They will raise the tabs, which will air the boat out. It will lift the boat up, reducing the friction, increasing the top speed as they try to make up some time on the Fountain Electronics boat.
And getting a pretty good ride in that deep V hull, and of course the extension. It's a long boat, riding the water really well here on the Hudson River today.
Well, that was on the north end of the course. Now we're jumping back down to the south end, headed north. You can see the white caps are building, and this 30-foot boat's having a rough ride, rough go of it.
Yes, and they're just coming out of that ferry boat area that we talked about churning up the course.
It's getting worse. Yeah, it's all. I think it's all these waves bouncing off the side. Got no place to go. Evidently.
These guys probably, Jim, feel like they're in just a huge bathtub. And there's some giant walking around stirring the water up.
My father's wallet, MFW Racing S45, third in class, here today in their open-air cockpit boat. Throttle man and driver going for a Sunday ride down the Hudson River. But a rough Sunday ride.
Yeah, but it's not so rough up here. No white caps up here on the north end.
Twin outboards, driver and throttle man going down the Hudson River, heading north. And here's Blondie, of course, for that famous cartoon area. Remember that? They're first in class, 11th overall. Chick Young created Dagwood. Now his son Dean takes over.
My responsibility started in 1973, Jim, and we've been going strong since well, 1930s, and this happens to be the 70th anniversary of the comic strip today. So we're hopefully going to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Blondie comic strip with a victory of our Blondie boat here.
And they're well on the way to that victory, airing it out just a little bit. Look at that front end stand get really a little squirrely and get up high.
You know, that Blondie and Dagwood just never age, Jim, kind of like you.
We just go on forever. Look at Blondie and Dagwood cheering their boat on. Here's the M55. How sweet it is. First in class.
This boat's having a great ride. It has all day long. 32 feet in length, catamaran style, inboard power.
Yes, it has been very, very strong all day today. Having no problems negotiating this course. That's the F-215 Parts Unlimited Marine, a fountain boat. Leading in class and getting a fine ride today. Here's the B-88 Media Master. They are also first in class. You know, it's always tricky to have to negotiate this Hudson River because of commercial traffic. U.S. Coast Guard helps us control that situation. We talked earlier to Lieutenant Tom Lake.
Well, New York waterways are extremely busy, and commercial operators still want to operate during this race, so we try to help everybody out and do what we can do.
Well, he's done a great job, no doubt about that, because this is one of the busiest ports in the world. These guys are always busy too, Jim. These guys love to party, but they also love to race. I'm talking about the muscle, B1. They're second in class, but they're 17th overall today here in New York.
Yeah, they love to party, but you never party with them. They call you a party pooper.
Oh, my partying days are over, my friend. Until tonight.
Until tonight, here in the Big Apple, New York, New York, for a Superboat International annual Big Apple appearance.
A P-boat, Prix carb. Now, this boat has triple outboard power on the back. Extremely fast boat. These outboards have between 285 and 300 horsepower apiece. You're looking at about roughly 900 horsepower on that boat.
We're aboard the leader, first place, Hydrogen Media Fountain. And look at the ride they're getting, Jerry Gilbert, that veteran throttle man. And, of course, on the wheel, Mr. Cool, Mr. Fuller.
So far, everything going their way. We talked earlier about we hoped that the fog would burn off, but it's still kind of hazy out here today, Jim.
A foggy day in New York town will not keep John Carbonell's Superboat International boats down. They'll go around and come on, they can see. I mean, it
sound like old Blue Eyes, Jim.
Well, I don't care. Look at the stern. This is a good shot. There's New York City. It is a little cloudy. There was sun earlier. We may have some rain, but does this boat care? Hydrogen Media Fountain. They're showing them the short way around the course.
Speaking of old Blue Eyes, we're not far from Hoboken, New Jersey, are we?
No, we're not. Hydrogen Media Fountain Boat. They are the leaders. We have more action to come. Stay tuned. We'll be back. As you said, Stan, of Frank Sinatra, Hoboken, New Jersey, as well as the home of the Stevens Institute, a seat of higher education for over 125 years. They've had curriculum of advanced technology and applications to the marine industry, and a big thing here at the Stevens Institute, lots of testing, lots of technology, lots of know-how, and they provide a marvelous view of the Hudson River and Manhattan for our Speed Vision crew here today.
Back into the fray now. Factory 1 class. Accelerator. Hanging it out on the ragged edge now. A little shine walking because he's got that boat trimmed up very, very loosely. Trying to scrub any amount of speed he can to take over the pack.
These boats get a terrible pounding. As we said before, manufacturers like Fountain, they use these courses as a test course. If these hulls and these engines could sustain this pounding, what would they do in the pleasure? They would do just fine for you, sir.
And we mentioned this Sunday ride, but as you can see, when we show the drivers up close, they're not going for any kind of a Sunday ride. They're having to fight that wheel. It's just seesawing back and forth. You can't relax for a second out here on the Hudson River.
And, of course, you know, every time these boats race, a lot of times they overhaul the whole engine. It costs to race.
Whoa, Typhoon getting a little loose, too, as we speak. Hold on to it, guys.
I felt that jolt myself. Ugh. Competition on the water, reading the course all the time. Throttle man.
Turn easy, we're all right.
Nice and easy. Nice and easy.
Said take it easy.
Nice and easy. Nice.
You can tell what's on their mind, Jim. Take the turn easy. Don't spin this boat. Don't barrel roll this boat. I'm begging you.
The boat kind of goes where it wants to go.
I know.
Punch it.
Come on.
Now, once they get straightened out, they can punch it, get back on the gas. But going through those turns, you have to be so cautious.
The F1-3 Outlaw, third in class and getting a good race. They're leaders in the manufacturer high points, another hometown team, but this hull had a mishap last time we were here. Watch. Was that quick? Just like that, blink, and this hull tossed its crew of that time right into the Hudson River.
That is going through our head about what happened to the people last year. I think from the modifications we made and the boat builder, Mark Schnepp, I think we're not going to have that problem anymore, hopefully.
They've obviously done some work on the bottom of this boat, Jim, changed the chines around a little bit, the dead rise and stuff, so hopefully that boat won't have that same problem this year.
Sixth place, F161 Kryptonite Racing. F1-20 Wanted Racing. They are fifth in class. As the Rio Rosas, another type of boat, a little stronger, goes past them.
Yeah, you can tell the discrepancy in speed there between the Factory 1 boat and, of course, the Super Big, which has so much more power and is so much more length as well, these big waters.
Boat size, engine power, declare which class they will race in, and they do so accordingly.
Now, these factory boats, of course, these engines are sealed at the factory. You can't touch these engines. You can't touch the drives. That's what we said earlier. It all boils down to hull and driver throttle man.
C7 R&R Racing first in class, fifth overall, chased by the C25 Extractor, who is second in class, sixth overall. Seesaw battle, almost bow to bow.
All day long it's been like this, bow to bow, transom to transom, whatever you want to call it. But they've passed each other back and forth, and it's really been a dogfight. These two teams both hail from New York City, and they've got all their fans, all their family here watching them, so it's a lot of pride on the line, not to mention the trophies, not to mention the cash, and not to mention the high points.
And it's also the bragging rights, right? C1 Interome, third in class, seventh overall, getting a good ride. Going right down Manhattan skyline. There's the Empire State Building in the background.
Another New York team, once again. All these guys that see her hail from the New York area. Talked about bragging rights, Jimmy. It goes even beyond that. I think there's a little bit of animosity maybe between these teams.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't think that from fellow New Yorkers.
Get out of here.
They're always competitive. Are you crazy? Good view inside the cockpit of Interome. Here is the Popeye Fountain. Dominic Visconsi, the owner-driver, and, of course, the throttle man is John Thomas.
And they're tied with B-21 Firewater for the national high points. What a race.
We're in a dogfight with Firewater this year, tied for first place in points. We've had a little bad luck the last few races. We're probably going to go out and take it easy a little bit at the start of the race, see how the boat's running, and go from there. But we're in a real dogfight.
Johnny Thomason, you've had it pretty much your own way last year. What about the strategy for this race?
This race, like Dominic says, we've had some mechanical difficulties the past two races, so it's real important that the equipment stays together. When the equipment stays together, this boat can run up front, and that's what we hope to do, and push it in the latter part of the race.
Well, they got to keep the equipment together. We mentioned 40% of these boats don't finish. If you stretch them out, you hit those rev limiters all day long, sooner or later, something will break.
And getting a break is the big spectator fleet down here at the south end, watching the Popeye Fountain B1 negotiate that south turn and head north.
Well, they could almost reach out and shake hands with the drivers as they go by. Of course, the Coast Guard keeps them back, though, at a safe distance. Here at SBI, safety always a paramount issue, but they do have a great view, as you said, Jim.
The 76 Fountain Electronics, first in class, third overall. Peter Meyer, Joe Stroh leading the way, and we'll be back with more Superboat action in the Big Apple in just a moment. Aoki, our honorary race chairman, he tries to go incognito stand, but in this Benihana Mobile, he can't go unnoticed. He's on the base boat right now.
Another bad move in Super V, trying to make up some time. Right now, they're third in class, and they are 8th overall.
Chris Woodson, another bad move. That's the name of the boat. He's on the throttles.
Well, they're trying to make some good moves now to make up some time.
Yes, they are, and they're doing very well. V92, that is a deep V hull. You can just see how they have it trimmed out. Here's the V21, fourth in class. Water conditions are tough out here, but that V21 Firewater hull can handle this rough situation.
When we get down to the south turn, we run into some changing water, and with a heavier boat, we'll just run right through it and do the best we can.
This is the heaviest boat in the fleet. It's well over 12,000 pounds, and they're in the process of having a lighter state-of-the-art boat built. It'll be a lot faster, this boat, but this war horse, I tell you what, can go through any kind of water condition.
A88 Fury, second in class, 14th overall, and behind him is the B1, the Muscle, coming up.
Speaking of retiring boats, they're going to retire this The Muscle boat pretty soon, too, and come back with a new boat. This little boat here, Fury, is all about Fury. It's a 30-foot boat, step-bottom boat, ventilated hull, extremely fast, in production 8.
Whoa, he just gets some air there and starts chine walking left and right. A6 Extreme Stainless Marine remains first in class, sent out in front.
State-of-the-art boat. You talk about chine walking. The chines are the outside, the hard chines, which keeps the boat from rolling over. Now, if you hook a chine, that term means the boat actually will hook it and it'll toss you, and that's how these drivers get tossed out of these boats from time to time.
F1 Accelerator, first in class. F1 29 Typhoon, second in class, and here's that battle.
Yeah, these guys have been duking it out all day long. These boats evenly matched in power, so it's been so close here on the Hudson River.
They look like they're in pretty smooth water on this side of the course. They don't look like too bad. A little chime walked. Whoa, I spoke too soon.
These boats are not that heavy, and they will get aired out. Then we're on board with Outlaw.
Okay, make a nice turn.
Make a nice turn, he says.
That's very important. These guys have been talking about that all day long. They're aware.
Easy.
Oh, no, not again. Oh, my goodness.
Did they do that?
The same hull once again. Outlaw just disposed of us. Oh, my goodness, they came close to getting run over there, too. Mike, let's go back and watch this in slow motion.
Same hull, same river, same action. Watch. Bingo from the onboard camera. Suddenly, they're gone. Now, let's take a look from another angle. The F-120 Wanted Racing was right behind the Outlaw. He's the boat that had to swing wide.
Yeah, that was close, Jim.
Yep.
What a
good driving.
They got their thumbs up. They got their thumbs up.
Yeah, the thumbs up, they're okay. That's a good sign. You may be wondering why the boat, after going so fast, comes to a complete stop just like that. Well, that's because the driver and the throttle man have safety lanyards hooked to a kill switch. So if they're discharged from the boat, that pulls the kill switch, that kills the engine, the boat stops.
And F-120 Wanted Racing, who saw that action, is now third in class.
And I dare say, if they had not seen the thumbs up, they would have circled around and gone back and helped out their compadres.
On board the hydrogen media fountain, Kurt Leader. And they're in the south turn now. Look at the beautiful city of New York, New York.
Yeah, you see what a difference these bigger boats have. In big water, you need a big boat. The longer the hull, it spans a ways. That's why this 46-foot boat seems to be riding so much smoother than the smaller boats.
You can hear those engines whine. Here's our number 2 boat. Planet Man, Tim Chasuli, and Russ Houston teaming up in the number 8 boat, second place.
Yeah, the whining sound is actually not the engine. It's a supercharger that's sitting on top of the engine. And what that does, that compresses the air with those rotors, forcing the air down into the engine, making more horsepower.
Tim Chasuli, a competitor and a gentleman. You know, it's like a group. I mean, it's like a club. They go out and try to beat each other's brains out, but off the course, they have a lot of camaraderie. In fact, it wasn't too long ago, the other night, Jim Chasuli hosted a party for all his foes, if you want to call them that.
Blondie's #1. Woo!
Family involvement at Superboat International Racing, you bet. On and off the course, camaraderie, and of course, competition. Benson Steakhouse also. Here's John Carbonell, Rocky Aoki, Raul Bozell. Lots of celebrities, lots of fun. We'll be back with action on the water in just a moment. And to Liberty Landing Marina for allowing us to launch our boats and providing the wet pit for this Superboat Grand Prix, the Fountain Superboat Grand Prix, if you will, here today.
You know, they make a darn good hamburger over there at Liberty Landing Marina. I go over there every day for lunch.
Blondie still leading in stock class, 8th overall. On the inside is the F-129 Typhoon, a different class boat.
There you see the speed differential one more time. These stock boats run upwards of 110 miles an hour.
My father's wallet were gained a little bit on us, but I'm not worried about it. We got a half a lap on him. He's got to do it.
Again, sneaking inside the cockpit, listen to the strategy of the crews. S-18 Bermuda Barracuda, second in class.
They're headed north now. Fog starting to burn off. You can see the lot better clarity on those huge, beautiful buildings over there on the New York side.
And the New York side of the Hudson River is what we're talking about, and we have most of our cameras on the New Jersey side, so you can always see the skyline of the Big Apple because it's their event.
My father's wallet, airing it out. Getting that bow high in the air, just the rear of that transom on the water. And this boat is just in perfect condition right here, just dialed in, and they are really screaming. I just hope they don't overextend themselves, but they want to win this and win it bad.
In the south turn, it's a tight turn in the roughest part.
Oh, no, Jim, they're going to spin it.
They not only spin it, they went upside down. Inside the cockpit, let's look at the replay of what they saw and how it happened.
Looked like Hugh Fuller just oversteered it, then he tried to correct it, but it was too late. The boat spun, and it's upside down. You see the water inside the cockpit. Now they'll have to extricate themselves, or they'll have to wait for the divers to arrive on the scene.
Here's a rear view camera now on the same boat. Look at that stern. Medical chopper on the scene in seconds. Medical personnel in the water. Report we're getting, it's A-OK. They're going to be okay, but the boat, of course, out for the rest of the race. Our new leader, Planet Man, number 8.
Yeah, that boat probably out for the rest of the season. They'll have to completely tear it down and re-rig the entire boat.
Here is our leader, B-76 Fountain Electronics, first in class, second overall, passing the F-28 Cancun Cantina, which, of course, is a different class.
The New York boys, they are looking good today. Joe Stroh and Peter Meyer, their whole family's here. Peter's young daughter, she's screaming, jumping up and down every time that boat goes by.
B-1 Popeye Fountain, second in class, third overall. Getting a good ride in that canopy. Inside the cockpit, let's go there. That looks like oil on the windshield. What do you think?
Yeah, especially on the right side there. I was trying to figure that out earlier. It's like splattered oil, perhaps. But the engines are behind them, so I don't know how that could have happened unless it came from somebody else's motor.
B-92, another bad move is the name of the boat, third in class.
Yeah, Bill Durham, another New Jersey native. New York and New Jersey well represented. Of course, there are some Florida boys and some guys from all over the country and the world here. Raul Boisil, of course, hails from Brazil.
You notice the choppers, medical choppers, all over the place, and, of course, for our cameras.
There's the Rio Roses on board Phil Lipschutz and Raul Boisil, and I know that New York can't wait to see Raul handle this big boat.
And handle it well, he has.
Last year was my first experience driving the Pace boat here, and you know, I never thought a year later I'll be back here driving the Rio Roses, and you know, this beautiful place, you know, is not a better way to maybe have my first win.
I wonder if he was ready for that spin out earlier. But that caught him by surprise.
Well, when you're inside the boat, it catches you by surprise too, I'm sure. Inside the fountain, Popeye Fountain V1, but I think they're having problems. Do they seem like they're slowing down to you?
Oh, yeah, definitely slowing down and perhaps even coming off plane. There you see a good wide-angle view of the south end of this course. It is rough.
We'll be back with the finish. Stay tuned. Along with Stan Lane, it's the Seminole Indian Casinos presenting the Fountain Superboat Grand Prix.
And there you see number 8, Planet Man. He's their current leader after a hydrogen media fountain flipped over earlier. Jim's in the wet pits with Hugh Fuller. Let's see what happened.
We were both getting hot. The air conditioner wasn't working, so we decided we'd just flip over and cool off for a while.
But really, what happened?
We went in the corner, and we actually had slowed down. You know, the first few laps we ran real hard. We pulled it back. We'd slowed down about 5,500 RPM in the straight and only 40 or 50 in the turns. Decided to back off, and that's usually when stuff happens. If we'd been going hard, it probably wouldn't have. But we just came off of a bump, off of another wake, and you know, it hooked a little bit. We caught the hook, but then we just went into a hole and over it flipped. Very smooth, no problem, didn't hurt us at all.
Well, you got to admire the guy's humor. I mean, he's safe, he's alive, but I tell you what, it's going to cost a lot of money, Hugh, to get that boat back on the race course again. But,
yeah,
you know,
of course,
I guess
he's a kind of a new guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's learning, right? That was a big lesson, but you're right. He does have a sense of humor. F-215 parts unlimited. Marine, another fountain hull.
Yeah, this fountain can really cut those corners good. You see how it leans over and slices and dices the waves. Dave Knight, Roger Ausley. Looking good today, boys. I know Reggie Fountain's proud of them.
We're on board the F-129 Typhoon. They're second in class. But look, Stan, they're going to take over first.
Yeah, they're coming in on the outside now. They're trying to take over first place after all day long battling back and forth. You can't see their faces behind those face shields, but you know there's a big smile on their faces. They hang on and take over first place.
And, of course, with the race and the checkered flag waiting in first place, they're now going to start to hear gremlins. Now it's time to get serious. Now it's time to finish.
And these boats only have one motor in them, so if that one goes, they are done.
Bermuda, Barry, Cuda, second in class, racing the C2. Rolling Thunder 2 were second in their class.
Well, this Rolling Thunder boat's been around a long time, too. I remember watching that boat many, many years ago, and it's still extremely fast. 35 feet in length. Let's see how these cats take this turn now. After seeing all these boats flip over and spin out, Jim, they got to be more and more cautious.
Well, Gary Ballou, the owner of the throttle man of the S9 Blondie, heading for a checkered flag. They've led all the way in the stock class here today in New York City.
What you're seeing now is a boat in perfect trim. The bow's not too high. Of course, it's bouncing a little bit now, even as I speak. But that boat was just flat, but it was raised, hovering just above the water, hydrodynamically efficient and aerodynamically efficient.
A rough ride for the A11 extinguisher, second in class. Getting some air underneath that boat to have it all stretched out. Watch the helmets come bobbing back and forth, and now a chine walk. Trying to catch this boat. A6 Extreme Stainless Marine, first in class. Meanwhile, the checkered flags are out and coming down to take the win. Tim Chasuli, Russ Houston in the number 8 Planet Man wins today.
Planet Man, and there you see Rocky Aoki, honorary race chairman, and Ken Pozzibo, New York Sports Commissioner, waving the checkered flag. All right, great job, guys.
The winners are in. The checkered flags have been passed out. We're going to be talking to those winning teams when we come back, so stay tuned, please. So the Fountain New York Superboat Grand Prix has been brought to you by Fountain Powerboats, because there is a difference. By Seminole Indian Casinos, catch the excitement. And by Featherlight Trailers, the official racing trailer of Superboat International. Well, Stan, it was a great race, and always is when we're here with Superboats in New York City.
No, we always have a great time, and what a view that is. I mean, just look at that. That is what it's all about, brother, the Big Apple.
Here's your Superboat results. Planet Man Hydrogen Media, Key West Sunset Ale, 1, 2, 3, and Planet Man wins.
There was a lot of pressure on Jerry and you, Fuller, to to push the boat and come through with a win, and they were definitely going for it. We had some vibrations early on, and just discussed with Russ that I think this one's important just to finish. So we ran most of the race at about 5,000 RPM, which is for those motors idling.
Well, Tim had some vibrations. These guys had some good vibrations. Your winner in Super V, Fountain Altronics. Let's check out the winning team. Let's go to Dockside right now.
This is hometown. This is the best place you got to win at. You always got to win a hometown, but we're running for points in the season, and we had to win to stay in contention today.
Blondie and Dagwood ecstatic on shore as the Blondie leads from wire to wire. There's the rest of the finish. Let's go down to the docks.
There was some stiff competition out there. It was rough in the beginning. It started laying down towards the end, but it was good. It was a good thing.
These are your modified final results. How sweet it is, taking it all. Row 1 results, Pancreas Carb. And Production A results, Extreme Stainless Marine. Let's go down and talk to Rick Termel.
There was holes and bumps, sometimes 4-footers, and we ran as hard as we had to win. We had a tough time in the beginning. The boats are all, I got a big target on my back. They want to beat me, but we started to pull it out at the end.
Offshore B final results. The winner, Greg Quirk in the B88.
We had a good race, and luckily everything came together well. MRD built the boat, designed it, and it really ran like a clock. Everything went perfect.
Final results in Offshore C, C25 Extractor over C2 Rolling Thunder 2. And passing on the very last lap, Manufacturers 1, your winner, Typhoon.
Had a great time. It was great to win. It's part of our home crowd. We're locals around here, and everything was going great, and we really enjoyed it here.
In Manufacturer 2, Hearts Unlimited Marine, another Fountain Hall, the winner, F2-15. And David Knight was happy.
Great race out there, all kinds of conditions. Really sloppy down in that south turn. It's got dangerous down there. but up in the north turn it was a little better. Boat just did everything we needed it to do today. Roger drove an outstanding race. We made the turns inside when we needed to, and I just want to thank our sponsors, Parts Unlimited Marine and Inventus, for helping us be here.
Here are the results so far for the season. The High Point leader, Planet Man in Superboat. Fountain Mercury, the V76 in the deep V's. Interome is your leader in C-Class so far this SBI season. Bermuda Barracuda holds the lead in the stock class. Extreme Stainless Marine, your leader, and not by very much, in the A-Class. Team Outlaw, the leader in the Factory 1. Factory 2 is Parts Unlimited Marine Fountain.
Our thanks to the Sheraton Newark, the official race hotel for SBI New York Offshore.
And it was there, after the race, and a good, safe race it was, and lots of excitement. The trophies were passed out. Everyone had a good time, lots of fun. Don't forget to log on to www.speedvision.com for more information. Superboat International, produced by Diamond P Sports in association with Speed Vision. For Stan Lane, I'm Jim Hendrick. So long, everybody.